Before the lights shut off and silence turns intimate, make sure you're still here. Subscribe to Emo Saga for stories where intellect lingers, restraint trembles, and connection begins after everyone else leaves. The library after hours is a different world. Not empty, hushed. Like the building itself has agreed to keep secrets. The overhead lights dim automatically at 10, leaving only the warm desk lamps scattered across the long wooden tables. The clock above the reference desk ticks louder than it should, each second landing with quiet authority. I'm still here because I chose to be. No deadlines tomorrow. No one waiting. Just the final chapter of my thesis open on my laptop and the stubborn feeling that if I leave now, I won't come back with the same clarity. I take a sip of lukewarm coffee and reread the paragraph. Still wrong. Working late. The voice comes from behind me. Not abrupt. Not intrusive. Curious. I turn slowly. He's standing a few steps away, holding a stack of books against his chest. No jacket. Sleeves rolled up. Glasses low on his nose like he forgot they were there. Professor Hale. The visiting scholar everyone keeps talking about. And very much an adult man who should not be standing this close to my table this late. Yes, I answer, carefully neutral. I'm almost done. He glances at my screen. Not the text, just the title page. A doctoral thesis doesn't have an almost, he says lightly. It has a surrender point. I huff a quiet laugh before I can stop myself. Then I haven't reached it yet. He smiles, not wide, not practiced. Just enough. I remember that feeling, he says. Convincing yourself the next paragraph will be the one that finally says what you mean. And does it ever? I ask. He considers. It gets closer. He shifts his weight, clearly undecided. I didn't realize anyone else would be here, he adds. I was asked to return these before tomorrow. I nod toward the empty return cart. You're welcome to. He moves past me, close enough that I catch the faint scent of clean soap and old paper. Academic somehow. Familiar. When he sets the books down, I notice his watch. Expensive. Understated. The kind of detail you notice only when you're already paying attention. You're working on, he pauses, thoughtful. Cognitive load theory? I blink. Yes. That chapter on attentional bandwidth, he continues. I cited something similar in my last paper. I straighten slightly. I read that. He turns back to me, surprised. You did? Yes. Your work on narrative interruption. His gaze sharpens, not predatory but interested. That's not light reading. No, I agree. But it was useful. Silence settles between us. Not awkward. Charged. The clock ticks again. He glances at it. Then at the windows lining the far wall. You know the library locks automatically at 10:30, he says. I check my phone. 10:18. I know, I reply. I signed the after-hours log. So did I, he says. Our eyes meet. Something shifts. You're not an undergraduate, he says carefully. No, I reply. I'm 28. He nods once, satisfied, not relieved but precise. Good, he says quietly. The word lands heavier than it should. He pulls out a chair across from me without asking. Doesn't sit yet. May I? He asks. I hesitate, then nod. Yes. He sits. The table suddenly feels smaller. What's wrong with the paragraph? He asks. I hesitate again, then turn my screen slightly so he can see. This transition, I say. It feels dishonest. Like I'm forcing certainty where there isn't any. He leans in, not crowding but close enough that our shoulders almost align. You're allowed to acknowledge ambiguity, he says. Especially at the edge of something new. I glance at him. That sounds like advice you give often. I do, he replies. Because people forget they're allowed to pause. I study him for a moment. You don't sound like someone who pauses much. He smiles faintly. Only when it matters. The lights dim further. A soft chime echoes through the space, 10:30. The library doors lock. I swallow. Well, I say. Looks like we're officially stuck. He doesn't look alarmed. Only until security does their round, he replies. About 40 minutes. And until then? Until then, he says calmly. We exist outside normal hours. The word settles slowly. Dangerously. I look back at my screen. So, I say, about that transition. He leans back slightly, giving me space. You're not wrong, he says. But you're avoiding something. Like what? Like admitting that the research changed you. I freeze. That's not. You don't have to write it explicitly, he continues. But it shows. I exhale slowly. That feels personal. All good research is, he replies. The silence stretches again. This one heavier. I become acutely aware of the way his knee is angled toward mine. The way his voice lowers when he speaks now, instinctively respecting the quiet. You don't do this casually, he says after a moment. Do what? Stay late. Finish things alone. I shrug. It's easier without distractions. Or witnesses, he adds. I look at him. Which is it? I ask. He holds my gaze. You tell me. I don't answer. Instead I type. Rewrite the sentence. Delete it. Try again. He watches not my hands but my face. You're close, he murmurs. Don't say that, I reply. It makes me nervous. His mouth curves slightly. Good. I stop typing. Turn to him. You're enjoying this, I say. Enjoying what? Watching me struggle. He doesn't deny it. I'm enjoying watching you think, he corrects. There's a difference. And that's appropriate? I ask softly. He pauses. Everything so far has been, he says. If it stops being, you tell me. The clarity steadies me. Another 10 minutes pass. The paragraph finally settles into place. I lean back exhausted. There, I say quietly. That's it. He reads it once more. Then nods. That's honest, he says. And very good. The praise lands deeper than it should. Thank you, I reply. You earned it. The silence now is different. Full. Complete. The clock ticks. Somewhere deep in the building, a door opens and closes. Security approaching. I should go, I say. Yes, he agrees. But neither of us moves. He stands first. I follow. We're close again, closer than necessary. Before they unlock the doors, he says quietly, I need to ask something. I look up at him. Yes. Would you like to continue this conversation? He says, measured, respectful. Somewhere that isn't governed by institutional policy? My heart stutters. That depends, I say carefully. On what? On whether you're asking as a professor, I reply, or as a man. He meets my gaze fully. As a man, he says. The answer settles between us, clear, deliberate, chosen. Footsteps echo in the distance. The moment narrows. I inhale, then nod. Yes, I say. And as the lights brighten and the library doors unlock, I realize something quietly profound. I didn't just finish my thesis tonight. I crossed into something else entirely. Something that was waiting. Patiently. After hours. The doors unlock with a muted mechanical sigh. The sudden brightness feels almost intrusive. Like the world rushing back in before I've decided I'm ready for it. A security guard nods politely from the far end of the hall, clearly unsurprised to find two people still inside. The after-hours log has already done its work. Professor Hale, no Ethan, I remind myself, steps slightly aside, giving me space to gather my things. No urgency. No pressure. Just awareness. Thank you. I say quietly, sliding my laptop into my bag. For what? He asks. For not rushing anything. He inclines his head. I don't rush what matters. That sentence settles deeper than the rest. We walk out together into the night. The campus is nearly empty now, paths lit by low amber lamps, the buildings looming quiet and watchful. My footsteps sound louder than usual, like the world is listening. So, I say, breaking the silence. Off campus. Yes, he replies. Somewhere neutral. I'd prefer that. As would I. We stop near the edge of the quad. This is where the choice becomes real. Before we go any further, I say, turning to face him fully, I need to be clear. He nods. So do I. This can't feel like an extension of authority, I continue. No academic hierarchy. No implied obligation. There won't be, he says immediately. If there is, we stop. And this isn't a secret, I add. I don't want shadows. He studies me, then nods again. Agreed. The clarity steadies something inside me. We choose a cafe that stays open late for insomniacs and grad students who pretend they aren't lonely. It's warm inside. Soft music. Low conversation. The kind of place where no one stares. He pulls out a chair for me without ceremony, then sits across. Not beside me. Respectful. Intentional. This is better, I say. It is, he agrees. We talk. Not about work. Not about power. About travel. About books that changed us at the wrong time. About the strange intimacy of staying awake when the rest of the world sleeps. You don't perform, I say at one point. He raises an eyebrow. In what sense? You don't fill silence just to control it. He considers. Silence tells you what matters. I smile faintly. That's dangerous. Yes, he says. But honest. At some point conversation slows. Not awkwardly. Comfortably. You look different now, he says. How? More present, he replies. Less guarded. That's funny, I say. I feel more aware. Of me? He asks gently. Of myself, I answer. He nods like that's the right answer. When we leave the cafe, the air is cooler. We walk side by side, close but not touching. I don't usually do this, he says. Stay out late. I tease. Let myself be seen, he corrects. The admission lands quietly but heavily. We stop at my building. Lights glowing in a few windows. Quiet street. Real life waiting behind the door. This is me, I say. He nods. I won't follow you up. I know. But I want to, he adds softly. The honesty sends a small shiver through me. I turn to face him fully. This is the moment where something either happens or doesn't. You can kiss me, I say. He doesn't move. Instead, he asks, Are you certain? Yes. And this is your choice? Yes. Only then does he step closer. Slow. Deliberate. Giving me time to change my mind. I don't. His hand comes to my waist, light but secure. My hands rest against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. Steady, controlled, real. When he kisses me, it's unhurried. Warm. Intentional. Nothing taken. Everything offered. The world narrows to breath and presence and the quiet certainty that this isn't crossing a line. It's stepping into something chosen. He pulls back first. Not because he wants to, because he knows when to stop. That's enough for tonight, he says quietly. I smile breathless. You're very disciplined. I have to be, he replies. With things I want to last. Weeks pass. Slowly. Intentionally. We meet in daylight. In public. In places that belong to neither of our worlds entirely. The dynamic never tilts. He never assumes. I never feel small. When my thesis is officially submitted, he congratulates me. Not as a mentor, but as a man proud of someone he respects. You finished it, he says. I did, I reply. And you didn't disappear after. No, Ismila. I stayed. One evening months later we returned to the library. Not after hours. Not hidden. Just two people walking through a familiar place with different footing. You know, I say. If you hadn't locked the doors that night. I didn't lock them, he corrects gently. The building did. But you stayed. Yes. I stop walking. Turn to him. That's what mattered. He meets my gaze. It still does. Some connections begin loudly. Others begin quietly. After hours. Between thoughts. In the space where intellect and desire finally admit they were never separate. And sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is stay.